Backpack Broadcasting continues to bring you the best original sports content, but now you can get more of the content you love. For as little as $3 a month, you can get access to bonus content, including behind-the-scenes footage and interviews from the Sports Walk, Sideline Stories, or the Ain't Hard to Tell podcast. All this exclusive content comes via Patreon. There are tiered levels of patronage, and each Backpack Broadcasting patron receives exclusive perks. Your support helps Backpack Broadcasting create more of the original content that you love. Visit Backpack Broadcasting's Patreon page and become a patron today. Ain't Hard to Tell podcast, episode 105, first episode of New Year 2020 vision, as everybody is saying. Everybody's got 2020 vision.
What's the cutoff for Happy New Year for people saying that?
Yo, 6 days.
6
days.
Days.
I'll give you a week.
So you give it to Three Kings Day, basically.
Yeah, because you might not have seen some people. I'll give you week 7th. So that's January 7th.
I said it to someone yesterday.
Yeah, you might not have seen somebody.
Yesterday.
First time you saw them in the New
that
Year.
Period, yeah.
I mean, but then I'm thinking, yo, what if it's the first time you see somebody in the New Year and it's like January 17th? Am I going to be mad if they tell me Happy New Year? I'm not going to be mad. I'm not saying it at that point. I'm done after the 7th day. We're done. We're good. I'm not saying it anymore. Happy New Year to you, though, man.
Yeah. Happy New Year to everyone listening. Everyone's still rocking with us in 2020. 105 episodes in.
Yeah, thanks to everybody for rocking with us.
We had a big year last year.
Yeah, and it's going to be another great year.
Most downloads that we've had, reached the charts a couple of times, more than a couple of times, actually.
Yeah. Hopefully enjoying the new music for the new year.
Oh, yeah.
With the intro.
Wanted something a little more upbeat.
Yeah, new segment coming up later. We'll talk about that in the show a little bit later, new segment that we're going to be doing. So we're adding some things. We're evolving, growing, changing, as we all should. But it's been an interesting time around with the new year, with the focus on just everything, as people make their resolutions and changes and whatnot. But in the world of sports, something very sad occurred on New Year's Day, and that being the former commissioner of the NBA, David Stern, passed away after he had brain hemorrhage last month, December 2019, that hospitalized him, and he passed away at the age of 77. A lot has been said, a lot has been written about in terms of David Stern and what he's done. I think if you're like myself and you grew up watching the NBA pretty much through the 90s, 2000s, and for some people before, going to the 80s, some folks who were a little bit older than myself, they understand very much the impact this man had on the game of basketball as a commissioner. Now, was it always good? Was it always without controversy? Was there times players weren't really messing with him? Yes. Mm-hmm. There was a time I didn't like something he did, and I'll get to that in a little bit.
I remember it, yeah.
And it's funny, my feelings on that aren't necessarily the same as they were then. But I think that he was a fantastic commissioner. I think what he did for the game, if you watched it as long as I did and loved the NBA as much as I do, he really took the game from being probably the fourth major sport in America and pushing it all the way to where it is now, where you can, it's the second major sport in this country, in the United States. No, football's still king. Don't let it, no. People love their football. You know how much people love their football? And this is why I stop people with this all the time. People love their football because all that crap and talk about how they weren't going to support the NFL with Kaepernick and these players taking a knee, they still back out there loving it, and people still love that NFL.
Okay,
that's it. Yeah, you see, you're too much into NBA Twitter. That's not this. It's. I had this conversation with somebody who covers the NFL.
Look, it's cool. I mean,
NFL still number one, man.
Yeah. Okay.
Not in my book. It's not number one to me.
From September to February, sure, I guess.
It's still number one.
It doesn't matter.
In my book.
Anyway. But David Stern is the one who made that debatable.
Yeah, you got you got to look.
Bringing it back.
You got to look at where the league was in the '80s, knowing your history. Well, before that,
the stories of the NBA 70s. Finals being on tape delay.
On tape delay. Let's go back to the late '70s. NBA Finals being on tape delay.
Which, if you're someone from my generation, even someone from your generation, that's crazy to think about.
Yeah, there's nothing when I was growing up that was
not even just delay. The NBA, but like live sports the way we know it now. Imagine it being on tape delay. What was it, 30-something years ago?
Yeah,
that's crazy.
Yeah. It's crazy. Like
I think it was in the early 1980s.
You could like literally be on your block. Somebody could have went to the game, came back, told you about it, and you still hadn't seen it.
And and here's the thing: you couldn't. There was no on demand. No. You know what I mean? Like there was no YouTube.
Like yo, man, this
you couldn't look up the highlights.
Crazy.
Yeah.
You're
like, damn, I gotta wait till 11 p.m.
After the local news just to watch it.
But David Stern helped institute change for all that stuff.
But that's what it is. And I mean, obviously he got, when he became commissioner, you know, he had some stars. He had Magic and Bird and then Jordan who really took it. And I really feel like Isaiah too. Yeah. I really feel like Jordan, he owes as much. Jordan is huge in what he did to the league. And the two of them, Jordan and Stern, go hand in hand and always will go hand in hand.
Yeah.
Because without Jordan, you know, for what everybody else likes to say and whatever they want to say about Jordan, Jordan's dominance in what he did and David Stern's brilliance and vision to take that and market that and know that the league was going to be about stars, which if you really take it another level, really leads into players seeing that and then understanding player empowerment. And that's a whole nother level of thing that we can go to.
Yeah.
So in some way, David Stern actually is responsible for that too. But I think the ability to market and promote the league outside of the United States, which Michael Jordan was a huge part of. When we were going to talk about this, I thought about being back in college, and I thought about one of the most important books I read. I took this course in college called The History of Sports, and it was by my professor, I believe he's still alive, Robert Ruck. He still lives in Pittsburgh. And it was a really good class that told you about like sports and history and globalization and marketing and race and how all this stuff is intertwined the way people may not want to look at it. And he gave me this, there was this book we had, and I had brought this book with me here. It's called Michael Jordan and a New Global Capitalism. It's by Walter Lefebvre. Yo, this book talks a lot about Michael Jordan, but talks a lot about Stern and what Stern did in pushing Jordan and realizing the branding he had behind him. But also the other thing too was, I think people sometimes leave out, the dream team. Understanding that after the '88 Olympics and the U.S. losing, saying, "Yo, we're gonna send these professional players to go play," knowing that was a fantastic marketing opportunity.
Yeah.
If you've ever watched any of the videos, or with NBA TV did that special, that documentary on the Dream Team a couple years ago,
did you ever see the USA Angola highlights?
Charles Barkley saying they need to eat something, which is mad disrespectful. Mad disrespectful on so many levels. So many levels disrespectful. So Charles Barkley
but I do wish that level of trash talk could still fly today.
Yeah. Some of them whatever.
If as long as you keep it a trash talk. Yeah. I don't think there needs to be violence in that.
No. But
there's a time and a place for
that was huge marketing for the NBA. Those dudes were like rock stars over there.
Yeah.
And I actually talked to some people who I knew that worked for NBA Entertainment that shot some of that footage. And those guys were just huge over there. That really globalized the game.
Didn't other teams take pictures with players in this documentary and things like that, and they were fans of them as well?
Yo, nobody.
They might have invented the selfie.
Yeah, nobody got to see the players like that on that stage that close.
Yeah.
I don't think people,
because they were just here.
Yeah, like that was Stern's vision in wanting that, and that helped grow the game. You had players who were killing it overseas who could have played in the NBA, became later, like Arvinas Sabonis, Drazen Petrovic, rest in peace. So you had that, but that moment really is a Stern moment. And I think there's great things he did in growing the game, but like I said, promoting players like Michael Jordan, having the teams do trips to China and different markets, which has become problematic for different reasons today. But that's really Stern's impact, man. You know, the thing I think people of my age that was interesting had a problem, this is back, and I'm forgetting the years in the early 2000s, escaped me right now, but when he instituted the dress code.
Yeah.
Because the NBA had two shifts. You know, back in the 80s, there was a drug coke problem that was going around, and they really tried to change the image of that.
That was Len Bias.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And Magic and Bird kind of helped with these positive players, happy, enjoying the game, playing hard. That kind of changed the image. But then when you got to the late 90s and early 2000s, the image was a little bit different, right? Hip-hop was now starting to become more mainstream. Yeah, hip-hop has a huge role in this. Hip-hop was starting to become more mainstream.
And at the same time, Allen Iverson was born.
And that was huge.
Not Allen Iverson was literally born, but the star
Yeah.
that was Allen Iverson, where he came in, he automatically had the deadliest crossover. Everyone knows that he crossed Michael Jordan as a rookie, and then he showed up. He ended up having braids, tattoos, and really embodied hip-hop. Commercials with Jadakiss, who was really big at that time, and things of that nature.
Yeah. To understand that best, you had to be my age at that time. You had to be 14, 15, going through high school like I was at the time when Iverson came on the scene, to understand for people like myself who loved hip-hop, who dressed like Iverson.
Yeah.
I didn't have the cornrows.
But here's the thing. We like us kids, we were doing that too.
Yeah.
Because we're talking about, remember, they made their first finals, what was it, 99, 2000?
No, 2001.
So it was 2001.
Yep.
I was 7. My generation, like when we were kids or whatever, we would all, like Allen Iverson was our guy.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Because he was the shortest dude on the court. He would cross people up. He had the tattoos in the sleeve. He's the reason.
You love that.
Isn't he the, like, I'm not even joking. Isn't he the reason that everyone wears sleeves today?
I mean, he's one of those. He's one of the first players I can think
he was
of
one of the. He's the player that I think of when I see the shooter sleeve. He's the player that I think of.
Yeah,
because he's the one that really popularized it.
Well, when you think about everything that came about with Allen Iverson's embodiment, his steez, everything, and how the league was changing around that, the younger players coming in out of high school, it was hip hop and the NBA were intertwined at that time. Go back,
and it still is.
It is, but go back and really look at those commercials.
Yeah,
in the late 90s and the early 2000s, because that's when I really started being like, as a fan and kid from Brooklyn, being like, oh shit, like, yo, this is really merging here. Like, I'm really seeing hip-hop, and I was seeing guys
Jadakiss rapping on a Reebok commercial with Allen Iverson dribbling the whole time, not saying a word.
Pharrell doing that Nike commercial where the whole beat is with the balls.
Yeah.
And they're making the beat to the ball. And it was one of
there was one with Joe Budden and, was it Vince Carter? Was it Vince Carter dribbling through like a house? And not a house, but like a block where there's houses and stuff. And I think Joe Budden's rapping in the background. Like, these were all the commercials that I even remember growing up on 2000, 2001, 2002, 2003.
But now what you got to think about, and this is what I think about as I get older, now I'm older. At that point, the executives of the NBA, let's call it for what it is, the white executives of the NBA, they didn't know what to do with that.
Of course.
They were like, what?
Not.
There was like, you really have to think about hip hop and basketball at that time, especially if you're talking 97, 98. That is like Jay-Z shooting off into his ascension of, multi-million-dollar sales, and Nas and DMX and these artists becoming really big, and Outkast and all this stuff, like really, really big.
Yeah.
And it's intertwined with the NBA. It's part of the culture. You can't change any of this. And they're like, yo, what do we do with this?
And going to the dress code, that was implemented according to Wikipedia, which is always right. I don't care what anybody says. Without Wikipedia, I don't get that degree, all right?
Wow. Wow.
It's a joke. I'm joking, partially. October 17, 2005.
Yeah, I remember
Commissioner
that.
Davis Stern. So it's a little later than I thought. I thought it was in the earlier 2000s.
No, I remember that. I just graduated college. I remember that.
Commissioner Davis Stern, and I was 11. Commissioner Davis Stern announced the implementation of a mandatory dress code for all NBA and NBA Development League players. That's interesting because the D-League wasn't even like what it is now, even at that time. This is especially noteworthy because the NBA became the first major professional sports league to implement such a rule, although the NHL rules state that a player is supposed to wear a jacket and a tie to games and on charters if not told otherwise by the head coach or general manager. The dress code went into effect at the start of the 05-06 season.
At the time,
Allen Iverson was still peak Iverson at that point. So
at the time, I was not feeling David Stern on this one. And I still am not sure how I really feel about it today. I don't think my feelings are quite as harsh as they were then.
And it's also worth noting, not to cut you off, but this was a year after the Pacers-Pistons brawl, which was one of the reasons.
No, that is absolutely worth noting, and I think that was a huge impact, and that is also part of the history. David Stern acted, to his credit, acted swiftly on that Pistons Pacers brawl, Malice at the Palace. For those who don't know, please look that fight up. It is wow.
Although it aged better than people would, want to acknowledge. As we talked about on this podcast.
I can't believe that happened. I remember where I was when that happened.
I'm not saying they should have punched the customers. It's not what I'm saying at all. But I'm just saying, would I really, did Ron Artest really deserve the rest of the season suspension? I know why you got to do it, but,
Yeah.
Those fans weren't exactly, completely innocent either.
No. Ron Artest was just sitting there and somebody threw something at him.
Yeah.
And, no, you cannot go and punch the customers.
You know what? I did actually watch this again recently. And what I thought was that, because what I remember was that Ron Artest was there, and I remember somebody throwing something at him.
Mm-hmm.
I had thought that he ran up and went to get somebody. No, the fans came onto the court. So I was like, oh, wait a minute.
He did step over the table to go to get somebody, but that ended up not happening because somebody else came to the side of him, if I recall correctly.
Yeah.
And then do it. And then you have my man Steven Jackson was throwing haymakers on dudes.
Steven Jackson was also one of the critics of the dress code, along with Allen Iverson and Paul Pierce among them.
And I want to go to that with Stern because at the time, and I think I speak for I don't want to speak for everybody. I don't like speaking for everybody black. But I think a lot of younger black men that liked hip-hop, that maybe wore and dressed baggy clothing and saw Allen Iverson and some of these dudes dressing in a certain way, they felt like that represented them. So I think when you had the dress code, it felt like an attack on us, the people who dress like that. Back when I dressed more in that baggy style of hip-hop clothing, I felt kind of that way, yo, why is this happening? And you also have to remember that worth noting, Bryan, it's not just the Malice at the Palace. There also was this stigma around certain players in the NBA. This was come off the late 90s when Isaiah Ryder was getting in a lot of trouble. You had the Jailblazers. So there was this stigma around NBA players as always getting in trouble, even though NFL players at the same time got a slap in the wrist and continue to do so. That was a lot of it. And so there was this fear from the NBA that white America was becoming afraid of the product and it was going down, especially after the success. Jordan had just retired, all this other stuff. They didn't want to lose a product and revert to where they were back in the 80s. So I think Stern felt like he had to do something. Here's what I will say as a more adult person. I think if your employer wants you to present yourself in a certain manner, they have a right to do that. There's nothing wrong with that. They have a right to do that.
Okay.
Yeah, I know where you stand on this. They have a right to do it. You have a right to not like it. There's a certain level of presentability that I think is required for certain things. I don't think everything fits under the same broad thing. So I felt the beginning of it, I think they had guys, you had to wear suits and ties and do that. I think and then you notice it wasn't really that enforced because people started
Is it still enforced?
No, that's
how long did it last? That's what I'm trying to remember.
That's where I think when you look back at it, and you really look at it with have some revisionist history on this, it was kind of a appeasement thing to the customers that were concerned about the image. It was a big topic for 6 months to a year of that following 2005-2006 season. And then if you notice, go back and watch over the years what happened.
Yeah.
Oh, somebody wore a blazer and then they wore a t-shirt and nobody said anything.
Yeah.
Somebody wore a button down and some jeans.
People wear hoodies under blazers now.
Yeah, and nobody says nothing because it just evolved. Does everybody not look presentable?
That's what I'm saying. It's my main thing is yo, I'm not telling people that they should wear a suit and tie or do whatever. Just don't look dirty. That's a fine code. I don't think you need to tell people you have to wear certain, you have to wear a blazer and a jacket and this and that.
I think it was too rigid. I think it wasn't as rigid as people thought it was. That's my point of what I'm saying. Stern maybe came down with this thing and made it seem like it was rigid, but when you really look at it and how it was pushed further and further, it was never really that rigid because players ended up doing what they wanted to do as long as they were presentable. And I think if you look at the way players present themselves in the league now, it's presentable. Now, some players actually might be doing too much in terms of fashion and certain things in the league at times, but it's actually interesting and entertaining. And it's funny. I think what players flipped it into was okay, you're going to try to have these rules in us. all right, well, we're going to try to come to these games as stylish as possible
Yeah.
and express ourselves in our own way. And they still took back the power in it. So kudos to the players.
And obviously the other thing is, in a mostly black league, if you're telling them to dress a certain way, there's some underlying information there.
Well, I think that's what I was saying, how I felt, and a lot of other black people felt on it too, was like there was underlying things there that you weren't going to see happen in baseball, that you weren't even seeing happen in the NFL. And I think that's what annoyed people. It's like, and the league had become so hip-hop, and it was like a stance against black people and hip-hop culture, and I felt angry about that at the time. So at the time, I kind of was like, yo, you ain't messing with David Stern.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like, and I think that's real to look at. And I think a lot of players that you talk to, Steven Jackson, somebody at the time, they would agree with that. They would say that at the time because they felt it was an attack on that. And I think you can't. What I didn't like about the NBA was kind of hypocritical to me at the time was, oh, you were going to embrace the hip-hop culture and things that came around it for the game, but you're not going to be all the way in it and say that people can't dress a certain way.
Yeah.
And I do think that was kind of messed up. I think there was a way they could have came at it and got to where we are today with the way people dress without it seeming like they were attacking the culture or a specific group of people. With that being said, David Stern wasn't perfect. David Stern is a great leader for the NBA. Did a lot of good things. Definitely empowered Adam Silver to do the things he did.
Maybe the best commissioner in sports history.
People
would say.
I would agree with that, but I'm such a big fan of the NBA, I might be biased.
And I find it interesting, like just the general, everyone's sort of sharing their thoughts and their experiences with him. That's kind of what a lot of these pieces have been. Howard Beck wrote a really good one at Bleacher Report, just about his encounters with David Stern, and everyone sort of talks about just how that last name is so fitting, just how he would, sort of go back and forth with people and always sort of have the players in mind, right? And I think that's an admirable quality to have, because he's somebody who always, like, at the end of the day, he stuck up for the players. And not all commissioners seem to do that in our major sports.
I agree with that, and I think the one thing he understood, to put a bow on this, is I think he understood that it's a players' league. Yeah, we need the owners' money, but he really sold the owners in the fact it's like, yo, y'all ain't gonna get this money, or the valuation of your teams won't rise unless you have these players. And I think that's the genius. Stern understood that probably better than any other owner in any other league, and I wonder how much, we'll never know this, but I'm sure other people have talked about it. He looked around at the other leagues. He looked at baseball. He looked at football. And football is a really hard sport to market your players. But he said, this is something we can do because of the nature of our sport. Yeah. 5 guys on the court, the superstars really drive the league. If we drive these players, it's going to drive the money up. And it did. Look at what teams were going for in the early 80s to what they're valued at now. Yeah. Like, I think you could get NBA team, average NBA team was like $1.5 million. Yeah. Do you realize, like, a player making the mid-level exception could have bought an NBA team in the 80s? Yeah. Like, that's crazy, right? So, like, now you got teams, what's that? What teams are, the Knicks could go for $4 billion. Yeah. The Clippers were sold years back ago from Sterling for $2 billion. Yeah. I think that's close, like, to the average now for every team. So it's crazy.
Who's the next team that's going to be sold? Maybe the Pelicans? And they're going to probably be, what, 1.5, $2 billion?
Yeah, it's insane growth, but it's also, he did understand that the players, and I think he understands that, and I think the great legacy he left is that Adam Silver understands that, and is understanding to empower the players. Now we'll see how that goes the next time they have labor agreements, but
but David Stern also understood, like, he's one of the commissioners who, for his league, more so than Major League Baseball, more so than the NFL, they saw where the NBA could capitalize on things digitally. They were early on that.
Yes, they were.
And there was a flawless transition for them. And now you're seeing that, at least on social media, they're bigger than pretty much every other league that's around, except maybe like EPL worldwide.
Yeah, because
soccer's huge.
I think because they share that because of the sharing of the highlights. I think that's been huge.
But he saw ahead of time how the NBA could sort of, benefit from that. And sort of, tell the story of the league in those different ways before other leagues saw it, and we're seeing it manifest itself now.
Great man, great leader. Rest in peace, David Stern. Today's podcast is brought to you by Audible. Get a free audiobook download and 30-day free trial at www.audibletrial.com/AHTT. Over 180,000 titles to choose from for your iPhone, Android, Kindle, or MP3 player. The first round of All-Star ballot voting has come out. First of all, you know what I'm starting to notice, man? As time goes on and on and on, and some of it is just getting older, so I take all that into it in stride.
But you're not even old, though.
No, but I've been watching the NBA since I was 7.
Okay,
I've been watching this for almost 30 years.
I'm just saying, like you don't need to like refer to yourself as Vince Carter got years on you, bro.
I'm not old. I don't feel old, but I've been watching the NBA for almost 30 years.
Okay.
Right?
Yeah.
So watch a lot.
Yeah.
The last couple of years, I used to still do maybe like vote for an All-Star team. Still a couple years ago, I don't remember the last time I did an All-Star vote. You okay in your chair over there?
Yeah. I'm trying to like.
You trying not to be short?
Yeah. I sit down a little too far. I put in a dummy ballot every year. Like I don't put my actual votes really. But like,
I haven't done that in a while.
Like I voted for Vince Carter, Rashawn Holmes, just players I like that aren't gonna get in. Just why not?
See, you might be part of the problem. Though we're gonna get into. You might be part of the problem.
I only did one ballot. I was like, why not? Although I do want to see Vince Carter in the All-Star game.
Can we stop voting for players that we might like that don't get in, that don't deserve it?
Look, I'm only doing it one time and one time only. It doesn't matter.
You're part of the problem.
No, I'm not. I'm really not. I'm really not. I agree with you on what the problem is.
But you've done it. So you are part of the problem.
One time?
Yeah, and all the other people that did it one time, the thousands of people that did it one time, they're like, yeah, but I just did it one time. All y'all are part of the problem.
No, I exclude myself from that.
We'll get to the problem that we're talking about. I haven't really voted for All-Star vote in quite a while. But I'm starting to think, we saw the first round of votes come in. And I'm going to tell y'all what disgusted me.
Wait, can I tell you real quick?
Go ahead.
Do you remember going to games and actually getting the physical ballot and punching those out? Because I remember doing that.
Yes, I remember doing that. Especially,
I'm old enough to remember doing it.
More so in baseball than anything, because I used to just, I could also afford that. It was easier to go to Mets games because Mets were so bad when I was a kid.
Oh, my brother was a Net season ticket holder. I used to get excited around All-Star season. I would get a ballot. I was like, yo, I get to punch these holes. Just bing, 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 bing. Oh, man.
Not do.
Yeah, whatever. Okay. 2005, 2006, I tried to send Brevin Knight to the All-Star game.
You've been part of the problem. Like, yo.
Brevin Knight was a good player.
Was he an All-Star?
To me.
Okay.
No, he wasn't really.
Shout
out Brevin Knight. I want to interview him.
Also, I got to reach out to his brothers now coaching at Rutgers who went to Pitt with me. Here's my problem, folks. And Bryan is a part of this problem.
He was one of the league leaders in assists and steals for 2 straight years.
Stop it. Please stop. Please stop. So, first wave of All-Star voting returns have come out. I mean, most of the stuff is good. Most of the stuff is what you would expect. However, there are some fools, and I'm calling fools, out there doing some nonsense. Just absolute nonsense. In front court voting for the Eastern Conference. I'm going to read this in order. And you just, this is where it gets crazy. Mm-hmm. Number 1, Giannis Antetokounmpo.
Good.
2, Joel Embiid.
Mm-hmm.
Both definitely All-Stars.
Yes.
3, Pascal Siakam. Definitely All-Star to me this year. 4, Jimmy Butler. Definitely All-Star to me this year.
Pascal Siakam's injured right now still?
Yes. 5, Jason Tatum. Definitely deserves to be considered. Number 6. On the team, same team as Jason Tatum. No. Sorry, folks. Not Jaylen Brown, and not because he should be there, because he's actually in the guard position to be voted for. But it's a person who has played a grand total of 11 minutes this season. 11 minutes.
I thought you were going to say 11 games.
Season.
I was like, wait, where did I miss? Because I only seen him like once or twice.
11 minutes. Taco Fall. Why? Because some people, like Bryan.
Wait, whoa.
Hold on. Like Bryan did when he was voting for Brevin Knight. Although Brevin Knight had much more of a case to be voted for than Taco Fall. I would note that.
He was the original Charlotte Bobcat point guard.
Oh, and that's worthy to be an All-Star. Okay. So some people are like, Taco Fall. How tall is Taco Fall again?
7'12".
Whatever. 7'7" or whatever he is. And he's, fan favorite. People like him. They want to see him get in the game. Although, again, please can I repeat, he's played 11 minutes this season.
He had 23 and 19 in the G League the other day.
Yo, when you play 11 minutes this season, and now we do things digitally, and you don't have to punch anything or write it in, you shouldn't even be allowed to be put on the ballot.
Well, that's the thing too. I agree. I noticed that when looking at the All-Star ballot, I was like, why is this person here? Why is this person here? Why is this person here? Like, for example, I think you can remove Steph Curry. I don't think he should be there. He played like a few games and he got hurt. I don't think he needs to be there. We're going to get to Steph Curry in a little bit. But I think players that are obvious, DeAndre Bembry shouldn't be on an All-Star ballot. You know what I mean? Not to single out DeAndre Bembry. Fine player. He's not an All-Star.
I agree. But
if Brevin Knight wasn't there back in the day, you think I would have voted for him? No. I probably would have voted for Vince Carter and Jason Kidd or something.
Here's the thing. See, what you're doing there is you're saying because he was there, you voted with him. You were old enough and smart enough to know better to not vote for him.
I was like 11 years old.
Yeah, and you know what? There are people who are much older than 11 years old who can't understand that Taco Fall played 11 damn minutes.
I had like an 80 average in the 5th grade at that year.
Smart enough to know better. And hey, people, are you smarter than the 5th grader? Because how do you know not to vote for Taco Fall?
7 was Bam Adebayo. How is he behind Taco Fall?
Because foolishness.
Well, I also think there's a deeper thing where, like, unfortunately, like there is a racist component to this as well.
Between Taco Fall and Bam Adebayo?
No, between Taco Fall getting the popularity that he does.
Why?
Because people are fascinated by the big black man in a way that they kind of are.
There's a bunch of big black men in the NBA.
No, the big one, like the abnormally big one, and they want to see him and they cheer for him in ways that could be problematic, just subconsciously. Do you remember when me and Gerard were talking about the whole zoo animal component to this, and that's probably what they see him as, which is unfortunate. Also.
You know what? No. Everything you say there is definitely valid. And definitely not crazy.
Do you remember the Giant Gonzalez?
I can see that.
Yeah.
There is some rooting for the caricature.
Yeah.
I hate to use the term zoo animal because we are not calling Taco Fall a zoo animal, but what Bryan is saying, to maybe clean it up a little bit, not that you said anything bad,
no,
to maybe make it a little more understandable, is the spectator. It's like seeing the freak at the circus show.
Exactly.
Right? Freak at the circus show, right? Or freak show, whatever.
Yeah.
Behind the curtain. That's kind of the thing that you.
They're like, I want to see him block shots and run around and all that kind of stuff. And it's mostly white people that are at these games. He's a Celtic,
especially in Boston. That's a good. I don't think it's. You
remember Kenny George?
Crazy. Yeah, I don't think any of that is crazy. Now let's flip that to the Western Conference where
people weren't fascinated by Sean Bradley in the same way. That's all I'm saying. 7 is Bam Adebayo.
That's a great point.
8 Gordon Hayward. 9 Andre Drummond, 10 DeMontis Sabonis.
Let's hold off on getting through this. I want to go to Western Conference real quick because
no guards?
No. Hold on. We'll come back. We'll come back to that. In the Western Conference, in the guard spot.
Oh,
you guys.
There is a white person that fascinates people.
You guys did it again.
You guys.
Yeah, your peoples.
This dude is famous on NBA Twitter.
And here's the thing. I like this guy because he plays, he gets minutes, and he's a really good role player, okay? I like him.
Really good is a stretch.
No, he's a very good role player.
Okay.
He's a very good role player.
He's cool.
For what he does in his role, very good.
He's definitely superseded my expectations because he averaged like 9 points a game in college.
Well, I mean, people love that too, that watch the NBA. The guy that looks like him that superseded the expectations. Oh. You ever watch like Philly games?
Oh, I thought you were going to say, do you remember Aaron Kraft? I thought that's where you were going.
No. You watch Philly games 2 seasons ago, and you look in the stands, and you see like, some people got some Embiid jerseys, some people got some Ben Simmons jerseys, and I felt like the third most popular jersey, this is before Jimmy Butler came, it's like T.J. McConnell.
Oh, of course. Oh, come on. And he's in Indiana now. You think there ain't no T.J. McConnell jerseys at the Pacers?
I mean, there are, but like if you were,
especially them hickory ones from that overrated movie Hoosiers.
If you're Philly, like if you're Philly, who's buying their kid a T.J. McConnell jersey?
White people.
No. Don't you want your kid to be aligned with like a star?
Not if you're white, because then you could. This guy looks like you, and he made it to the NBA, so they can be your favorite player.
Yo, here's the thing.
No, I'm legitimately I'm giving my kid a JJ Barea jersey in the future if I have a kid. I don't want to have one right now.
But JJ Barea is actually like pretty damn good, and he's won a championship.
Yeah,
you can hang your head on that.
That's the thing. I told you could put him up there with like Felix Trinidad, Miguel Cotto as one of the great Puerto Rican athletes ever.
I mean, are you putting? Excuse me.
He won an NBA championship and was instrumental in that championship.
Are you putting? Are we putting T.J. McConnell up there with the great white athletes ever?
No, he's not Larry Bird.
Exactly. So why you got his jersey on? People. Let me say
I'm not talking for me.
Let me say this. I understand the need to want to see yourself.
Completely give him a Luka Doncic jersey.
That's what I'm saying.
And he's number one.
He's killing it
in West Coast guard voting.
Now,
he's actually number one in all voting, which is interesting.
Can we please go down this voting?
James Harden is second after Luka Doncic. Real quick, what do you make of Luka being number one overall?
All right, international voting is strong, man. Same thing for Giannis.
Or as Bill Roden said when we were on the Bros Pod, international code word for white.
He's right though. Except I love Luka, right? Like Luka's my guy.
But here's the thing: Luka's cold, bro. Like he's cold. He's an MVP candidate, legit. Yeah. He's an MVP candidate. But I also get what he's saying. Luka 1, James Harden 2, Damian Lillard 3.
Fine with all that.
Man, I wish Portland was better. Steph Curry 4. I have a problem with that. Russell Westbrook 5, and I think he might get in, but I don't think he's an all-star this year. D'Angelo Russell 6. Look, he is popular. His numbers are actually pretty good this year, but Golden State is bad. He should not be an all-star this year. 7, Donovan Mitchell. I think he should get in. 8, Alex Caruso, which is who we were talking about before.
Somebody you would vote for.
No, I'm not.
Why? You voted for Brevin Knight. Why would you not vote for Alex Caruso?
Brevin Knight is more identifiable with me. Brevin Knight was 5'10", maybe.
This guy's short too.
Alex Caruso's like 6'5", isn't he?
6'5"?
6'5", 6'3", something like that. And he's athletic. I wasn't like mad athletic. Brevin Knight would get steals. He was a hound defensively. God. One of the best passers in the NBA.
I'm going to be honest with you on this, straight up honestly. Your vote was stupid.
I was 11 years old.
You were stupid.
I was 11 years old. And then the Bobcats chose Raymond Felton over Brevin Knight.
That is arguably your second worst choice around that age after going to Uba Duba. And not questioning it.
Go to episode, what was that, 53? Jesus, that was half of AHTT podcast history ago. Alex Caruso 8. Devin Booker 9, who had 38 against the Knicks recently. Jesus. 10, Ja Morant, which I understand because of popularity, but Ja Morant's not an all-star yet.
The point is, to all you people out there, to those of you who voted for Brevin Knight, as Bryan did way back.
No one did.
If you voted, see, but that's what all these other people think.
It was me. It was me and 1,500 people from Charlotte.
What does it take? What is the mindset of the person like yourself and these other folks who sit there, have the ballot in front of them, and say, "Hey, I want to see."
People want to see who they want to see.
You want it? No, you should want to see the best players or the most. I kind of get the most exciting players. I get that. What's exciting about Taco Fall's 11 minutes?
Again, people want to see the 7'7" guy get out there and do stuff.
He doesn't play.
People
part of being an all-star means you play.
Here's the thing: in the NBA shouldn't put him on the ballot. He shouldn't be there.
I agree with that.
You shouldn't allow all players to be there.
But
it should. Every team shouldn't even have the same number of players because with the Clippers, for example, there should only be 4 guys on the ballot: Kawhi, Paul George, Lou Williams, and Montrezl Harrell. That's it. If I'm Charlotte, I'm putting 1, maybe 2 people on a ballot: Terry Rozier, Devontae Graham. That's it. You know what I mean? I don't even think every team should have every player. That's part of the problem too. Like if it's obvious that this person should not be an all-star, they shouldn't be there. And then you don't have 11-year-old Bryan voted for Brevin Knight in 2005.
See, the problem is you can say that about being 11 years old, and that's fair. I think that the shame of this is there's people way too old that are older than 11 that are doing this.
Yes.
And that is part of the problem. And if you don't have the sense to sit there and say Taco Fall is not an all-star.
Yeah.
Taco Fall and all-star don't go together. And that's no disrespect to Taco Fall. Maybe he is an all-star one day. Right now he's not.
/ also fans should not have 50%
yes,
votes.
I agree.
I think fans should make up 10%. You say 25, I say 10.
25. I think you're a little bit harsh with 10. The game is still for the fans. Here's the thing when it comes down to fans. I don't trust you. Don't trust you. I don't trust you because there are probably too many kids voting. There are too many 11-year-old Bryans voting, doing nonsense.
Remember when Allen Iverson
that's
voted
funny.
him back
When
in
I
the
was
day,
11 years old, I never did anything that stupid in terms of fan voting. I never did that.
Who were you gonna vote for in 1994?
Yeah, like 1994. 1994, Dexter was going to say, oh, man, you know what? I really like how Doc Rivers plays on Knicks. I'm going to vote for him. No, I wasn't doing that.
Reverend Knight was better than Doc Rivers.
Yeah, that's arguable.
Well, Brevin Knight in 05 was better than Doc Rivers in 94.
I'm not so sure.
Who are you going to vote for? Tony Campbell?
No.
He averaged 20 points a couple seasons. I remember I told you I played against his team when he coached at Bay Ridge. I don't even know if he's still there, but
the point is, I wasn't doing this nonsense. And you know what I think? I do think it's some of it is generational. I think voting on the internet actually allows you to do more of this nonsense because people get a thrill out of saying, ha, look, I got Taco Fall 6. He could possibly be an all-star. I got
but that's the thing. Now that we see this, it's going to just amplify now. More people are going to vote for Alex Caruso and Taco Fall and people that shouldn't be there.
I'm not so sure because you know what we're going to do here on the AHTT podcast? We are starting a campaign. Hey, rational people of NBA Twitter, rational voters, stop this nonsense. Let's bring order back to the fan voting and let's get the numbers of Taco. Sorry, it sounds like I'm hating on Taco Fall and Alex Caruso, but whatever y'all want to think is whatever y'all want to think. Let's get the numbers of these dudes down. Okay, let's get them down. I think it all works out in the end. Taco Fall's not going to make it. Alex Caruso, you're like, no.
I think it could go the other way. I'm very skeptical.
Really? Really?
I'm skeptical.
Go ahead. Tell me why.
I think because
you have no faith in humanity.
Listen, from a fellow former anarchist, I see these things and I know that people just want to start trouble. Like, I know that people are like, oh, wait, Taco Fall is 200-something thousand behind Jason Tatum. Let's ramp those votes up. We need to do more.
Yeah, y'all are corny.
All he needs to do is get in the top 3.
Y'all are so corny. You anarchist. That's what you call those people?
Yeah, they're just starting fires.
That's what you want.
Alex Caruso is 110,000 votes behind Damian Lillard as of this poll. That's not, he can get, you know what I mean? Like,
yo, do the right thing.
Although I don't think Alex Caruso is going to get in the top 2 guards, so he's so far away from James Harden, it's going to be ridiculous. It's going to be James Harden and Luka. We don't have to worry about that. And Taco Fall, I don't seriously think he's going to get all the votes enough to be in the top 3 for the front court. But he could make a jump from 6 to like 5.
Hey, Boston, y'all corny.
You think, like, here's the thing though. You talk about fans wanting to see what they want to see. If you poll people, not basketball people, just casual NBA fans who want the spectacle, quote unquote, who would you rather see between Taco Fall and Jimmy Butler? They're gonna say Taco Fall, and they're stupid, but they're gonna say Taco Fall.
I'm concerned, man. I'm so concerned.
I'm just saying, like, look, but this is why it doesn't surprise me that 11-year-old Dexter and 11-year-old Bryan would do 2 different things. Because in my head, I kind of got the evil laugh. What can I do to sort of put Brevin Knight into the All-Star game? And 11-year-old Dexter's a little more relaxed. Like, yo, you know what I'm saying?
I want to see the best players.
Like 11-year-old Dexter's sneaking, playing Illmatic in his crib. That's your level of problematic. With me, that
was my level of problematic.
With me, I'm like, I'm trying to mess up some All-Star ballots. You know what I'm saying?
Y'all are so corny. You guys, you helped start
11 years
all this.
old. No, me back in the day. Oh, so this is the credit that I get.
Yes,
this is the credit that I get. It's not side hustle and going out and trying to get my project nominated in film festivals and doing things in a different way than other people. It's actually sparking a generation of fellow people who would have voted for Brevin Knight back in the day and are now voting for Taco Fall and Alex Caruso.
And even more empowered because of social media, because of people like you. Blame Bryan Fonseca.
They want to see things burn. But I do think that fans should only have 10% of the votes. That's just me.
I'll tell you what. I'm getting closer to agreeing with that 10% because of people like you.
Now let's get into who we think should actually be in the All-Star game.
Not Taco Fall.
Let's start with the Eastern Conference. So to recap, the 10 front court players in the top 10 in voting: Giannis, Joel Embiid, Pascal Siakam, Jimmy Butler, Jason Tatum, Taco Fall, Bam Adebayo, Gordon Hayward, Andre Drummond, Domantas Sabonis. For the you want to do 6 and 6, 5 and 7? How you want to do it?
Let's do 6 and 6.
Let's just do 6 and 6 for now. Giannis, Joel Embiid, Pascal Siakam, Jimmy Butler.
We agree on
Bam
that.
Adebayo.
We agree.
DeMontis Sabonis.
Yep, we agree on this.
That's 6.
That's my 6.
That's 6. And then for the guards,
you want to make a case? You want to tell me? Look,
Drummond has a case.
But
his team should be better.
Yeah, and I say no. Tatum has a case.
Not over one of his teammates.
Let me say this. Every year, we do not have to go through, oh my God, somebody got snubbed. That's coming in a couple weeks, and I can't stand that.
It's going to happen.
Somebody gets snubbed every year. Get over it. You know who I hope gets snubbed? You know what I hope happens? I hope Taco Fall finishes 4th, and he misses it by like 2,000 votes. I hope that happens. I really hope that happens for 2 reasons. One, so all you people who voted for him, anarchists, feel stupid. And secondly, the league can realize how much of a problem this is, and they need to get the voting of the fans down to about 25% at a minimum.
Guards, top 10. Trae Young, number 1. That tells me he's probably going to get the votes to get in, and I don't think he's an all-star.
But he's exciting.
Well, I mean, not that I don't think he's an all-star. I don't think he should be voted in as a starter.
Yeah, see, but
he also might not be an all-star depending on how you feel.
I think you could argue he's a fringe guy to get in, but see, the fans like excitement and they want to see a guy who shoots like he does get in a backcourt. So I understand it. If that's what
I don't care what the fans
want. I'm not as
I'm talking about who deserves to be in the All-Star
I do to some degree because it's not a perfect science, but this is probably why the fans should have less of the vote. It still supports that point. I'm not as mad at Trae Young.
But this is something that people go off of. Like at the end of the year, at the end of people's careers, they're going to say this person made X amount of All-Star games. This person made X amount. Jamal McGlure has an All-Star game under his belt. Roy Hibbert has 2. You know, people are going to judge you based on that.
Well, no. I think you make a great point there. In all seriousness, that these are things that actually affect people.
They kind of matter.
Affects people's history, contracts, money.
Yeah.
Like we're actually talking.
There's stuff that incentivizes in people's contracts to make All-Star games.
So in all seriousness, like just going back to the Alex Caruso and Taco Fall thing, when you play around with stuff like this, when you're acting like 11-year-old Bryan, you're messing with people's money.
Didn't Rudy Gobert cry
cool.
over this?
Yeah, you're messing with people's money, man. It's not cool. That's real talk. Like that's. Seriously. Like the difference is the margins are that slim.
Yeah.
You're messing with people's money by somebody starting who might not actually deserve it. I'm not as Trae Young. It's not like he's not all-star caliber, so I'm not that as upset about it. But the point's well taken.
All-star starters should not be coming from one of the worst teams in the NBA. That's just me. Trae Young 1. Kyrie Irving 2. We don't even have to talk about why Kyrie Irving is not an all-star this year.
He hasn't played enough.
Yeah, like he's played legit, I think, 33% of the games, maybe even less now because, they keep playing games.
Could be worse. He could have only played 11 minutes.
Oh, you're good at this.
Could be worse.
3, Kemba Walker. 4, Derrick Rose. Now, here's the thing. I was against this a little bit more. I've eased up slightly in the fans' favor on this. The All-Star games in Chicago. Derrick Rose. I mean,
I don't have a problem with it.
Yeah, he shouldn't be I don't think he's an all-star. I don't have a problem with the votes coming in.
The options for guards in the East also not that great.
Well, here's the thing. Like, does Derrick Rose? All right, does Derrick Rose have an all-star case? He's playing well,
but not all-star worthy.
I don't know if he's all-star worthy, but he is playing. Look, is
he averaging 16 points?
16.7. So about 17 points a game. About 6 assists. That's all-star-ish, and he's 48% from the field. Granted, I mean, Detroit hasn't been very good, but he's been their second-best player for most of the season after Andre Drummond.
Derrick Rose has been a nice turnaround story. I've always liked Derrick Rose.
He's also coming off the bench, so, again, he'll get Sixth Man of the Year consideration, I suppose.
Yeah.
But
not an all-star.
Not an all-star, but that's one between him, Alex Caruso, Taco Fall. Derrick Rose gets voted in. I'll be like, you know what? That'd be cool.
No, I don't think Derrick Rose should be mentioned in the same breath as
Caruso.
But
he's not an all-star. But he's 4th. Zach LaVine 5. No.
Not an all-star.
Ben Simmons 6.
My book, not an all-star.
Great game against Houston the other day. No, not an all-star.
Still won't shoot outside of 3 feet. Don't care.
When he's taken 5 threes this year, the Sixers are 4-1 in games that he takes a 3. 2-0 when he makes one.
Really?
Just saying.
Really? That's a stat we're going to.
Very, very small sample size. He should shoot more for 3.
I don't even care about taking the threes. How about just shooting outside of 3 to 5 feet?
Yeah.
How about that?
Yeah. Bring mid-range basketball back. Make mid-range basketball great again.
Make shooting, just taking shots great again.
Yeah, I don't want to see just threes and layups all day. That gets kind of boring. 7, Jaylen Brown. after Ben Simmons.
Who's more of an all-star than the last three people we mentioned?
Kyle Lowry, 8.
Definitely making more of an all-star case and probably should get in.
Bradley Beal, 9. 10, Spencer Dinwiddie.
More of an all-star than the people we mentioned from 4 through
If
6.
I have to take 6, you know what? I'm taking 7 front court players because I'm adding in Andre Drummond because the guard options are just not great.
That's fine.
I'm taking 5 guards. And my 5 guards are going to be Kemba Walker as a starter. Wow. Jaylen Brown. Kyle Lowry is my other starter. So Kemba and Kyle Lowry. Then Jaylen Brown. Because Kyle Lowry's missed a few games, but it's only been a few.
But he's been
played
really
well.
Good since he came
out. Yeah, I thought last year was the beginning of maybe his decline because he is older and he has played since the 06 draft. But nah, man, this is one of his best seasons in a little while. Kemba Walker, Kyle Lowry, Jaylen Brown, Spencer Dinwiddie, and whoever has the most wins, as I wrote on Twitter, between Bradley Beal and Trae Young.
And I'm fine with
a few weeks from now.
I'm okay with that.
I know Trae. Someone brought up the point. A couple of people brought up this point that Trae Young's numbers might be too good to ignore, and I agree. But also, here's the thing: situation matters, and he has nobody else on that team who's going to put up numbers. On bad teams, somebody's got to get those numbers, and he has all the usage rate. He has the ball in his hands all the time. I almost expect him to get 28 and 8. You know what I mean? Like, it's not like he's shooting 50% from the field either.
I mean, he still has to go out and do it. I mean, Bradley Beal's kind of in the same situation.
Yeah, but they have more wins.
They have more wins.
So that's why I said whoever has the most wins, I'll just take them. I'll just take them at that point.
I do, see what I think. While I agree with your choices, I do think Simmons will get in because people like Simmons and like his rebounding and defense, and he is fantastic defensively. But I just still hate the fact that he can't shoot. We'll get more in another podcast about my real annoyance with Philadelphia overall.
Oh, we'll probably do that next week, to be honest.
Okay, but yeah,
Western Conference. Ready? Front court.
Where things are much better.
Front court. The top 4 in votes: LeBron, AD, Kawhi, Paul George, all Los Angeles.
All in.
Yeah. Karl Anthony Towns, 5. Kristaps Porzingis, 6. Jokic, 7. Who's picking it up? 8, Carmelo Anthony. I mean, he's not an all-star necessarily, but I understand why people want to see him. 11-year-old Bryan will vote for him. 9, Brandon Ingram. And 10, Dwight Howard. That's interesting. But I think that's Laker fans. Oh, yeah, you're twin. I think that's Laker fans just coming out and showing out for somebody they're just buying into the narrative and the story, and it's been a great story. And Dwight Howard's been an excellent role player for them for most of the season.
But he's not an all-star.
No.
Now, I mean, if there were center options, which I'm not a fan, they got rid of center. I've never been a fan of that.
Anthony Davis would be categorized as center to me, even though he's not really playing center. But I mean,
yep.
Because I'm not putting Karl.
I think the fans actually got most of this right.
I'm going LeBron, AD, Kawhi, Paul George. I'm gonna start off with 6. Those 4. Jokic, 5.
Karl down 6.
Sure.
Yeah. KP.
I'm not. I don't love that, but he's been great. He's been great.
KP might get it because he's on a better team, and he started to round into form. But Cat's his numbers are really, really good.
I'm taking Cat over KP.
I would right now too.
Yeah.
I think KP next year will probably definitely get in the way he's starting to play with Luka and gets healthy. But
though that could shift. I mean, over the next few weeks. Karl Anthony Towns is out right now. I don't know how long.
And they've lost a lot of 13 out of the last 16 or something. So we'll see.
Yeah.
On the guards, Doncic, Harden, Lillard, Curry. This isn't in order. Westbrook, Russell, Donovan Mitchell, Caruso, who we mentioned before, Devin Booker, Ja Morant. I think Doncic and Harden locks to start. The fans actually got it right.
Yeah.
They will. Lillard will get in.
Yes.
Fantastic season.
Yes.
Curry is not playing. Doesn't matter. Westbrook, I think, will probably be the last guard that gets chosen. He's up there for that. I think the guard I'd select before him to be a reserve is Donovan Mitchell, who's down to 7. I think, so that's what are we talking about? That's 5.
We need 6.
I think the last spot goes between Westbrook and Devin Booker. Right now, Westbrook has not shot the ball that well. He had a little stretch in the last couple of weeks where it's been better. Has been attacking a little bit better. I would give it to Booker. I think he's been more consistent all season long.
Agree.
He had a really good impact with Phoenix to start, even though they've cooled off. I'll give it to Booker for his first All-Star nod. The eye test just says to me, and what I look at, he's more of an All-Star than Westbrook.
So front court, we agree. LeBron, AD, Kawhi, Paul George, Karl Anthony Towns, Jokic, and guards, we agree. Doncic, Harden, Donovan Mitchell, Dame, Booker, Chris Paul.
Oh, I forgot about that. The
Did you
last
put
one.
him there? Shai Gilgeous-Alexander.
I go with Chris Paul. I want to see Chris Paul getting. I think I'm gonna go with Chris Paul.
I think I'm going with somebody from Oklahoma City. And look, not for nothing, he's not gonna get into the All-Star game quietly though. Quietly, Dennis Schroeder. He is having a good season.
Yeah, off the bench, he'll get some
Quietly.
six man a year consideration.
But Chris Paul or Dennis or Shai Gilgeous-Alexander should get that sixth spot for me over Russell Westbrook.
You know who we're forgetting about in the front court, and if you took one guard and went with this guy, I mean Rudy Gobert probably didn't even get voted in the top. Probably deserves some nods too. Has not been as efficient around the rim as he was the last couple of years.
Which sucks because he could have gotten in before. Like last year, I thought he should have gotten in. The year before, how is we're so offensively just driven now with everything that the defensive player of the year 2 times is not getting into the All-Star game.
And then you get, like you said, that narrative. Like, no disrespect to Dwight Howard, but like Rudy Gobert right now is more impactful. Although Dwight Howard's having a great season, Rudy Gobert is more impactful, and he's not even in the top 10 in voting, which tells me something. And Carmelo Anthony's also there too.
Rudy Gobert having his best rebounding season.
Yo, man,
too.
Problem with All-Star voting. A lot of 11-year-old Bryans.
You know what? You know what? I'm moving Karl Anthony Towns out for Rudy Gobert.
Nah, I can't go that far.
I'm doing it.
I can't go that far.
I'm doing it.
Karl Anthony Towns having a better season. Too many 11-year-old Bryans out there. That's the problem. Get better on what you guys are doing.
No, I'm gonna leave. I'm gonna leave it. Rudy Gobert will be my. Oh, what I also want is that, when we had Dwayne Wade last year and Dirk Nowitzki last year, I would like for Vince Carter to be in the All-Star game in the same way.
I would like that. I think that would be a nice touch.
I would like Carmelo on the West Coast, but I don't think this is his last season necessarily.
So, not yet.
So I don't know who would you add in the Western Conference. I don't know who.
Or you just don't have one in the Western Conference. Like, it's fine. You
have 13 in the East?
Yeah, who cares?
It's not East versus West anymore.
Right.
But
who cares? Like, it's just whatever. You have one extra player that somebody gets the special personal. I don't know if there's anybody else who's retiring that comes to mind right now that's of note.
Shoot, Dwight Howard?
No, he's not retiring.
Jared Dudley?
No. Man, ain't nobody. Look, see, y'all 11-year-old Bryans out here asking for Jared Dudley to be the. Yo, no, that's no disrespect, Jared Dudley. You know damn well you don't belong in the All-Star game. Jared Dudley knows this. If Jared Dudley was sitting here, he know this. Come on. He knows.
But Vince Carter should be in.
Yeah, absolutely.
In the Dwayne Wade, whatever Adam Silver. That's one thing. That's another thing I like that Adam Silver did, and I like a lot of things that he does. That's another thing I like that Adam Silver did was add that. Adam Silver and I are both Facebook friends, by the way.
Oh, very nice.
Yeah. I shot my shot and he accepted.
He gets to see your anger. I'm glad he accepted.
He gets to see all my podcast posts too. So maybe one day he'll listen in and listen to this.
Adam Silver,
Silver, if you're listening,
yo, maybe Adam Silver, you could come on here and come up with a formulated plan how we can stop all these 11-year-old Bryans out here. Is that
going to be the name of this episode? 11-year-old Bryan.
It just might be. It just might be. You never know. You know we like to hook our listeners up from time to time, and we have a hookup for you today. So for the listeners of the Ain't Hard to Tell podcast, Audible is offering a free audiobook download with a free 30-day trial to give you the opportunity to check out their service. You can check out one of my favorite sports books, $40 Million Slaves, The Rise, Fall, and Redemption of the Black Athlete by William C. Roden. That's available on audible.com with hundreds of thousands of other books that you can listen to today. To download your free audiobook today, go to audibletrial.com/AHTT. Again, that's audibletrial.com/AHTT for your free audiobook.
One time for your mind, one time. One time for your mind, one time.
All right, new segment that we're doing. You just heard it. One time for your mind. What we're doing here is we are bringing you something that Bryan and I either have found very interesting in the world of news. It could be sports, but we're trying to stay away from sports. We're trying to go with things that are a little bit more, different than we would talk about. Just something we came across. We might not know. Maybe we found it funny, hilarious, informative, thought that you should know about it. So we just, are sharing these ideas with you. We do not talk to each other about these.
Which means we might have the same one sometimes.
So it's possible we might. But what we're trying to do is we're trying to inform each other. We're trying to inform you about some things that might be going on in the world that you may or may not have known about or that we just found interesting. And I know Bryan finds a lot of things interesting sometimes that I don't find interesting. So, here we go. Bryan, one time for your mind. What do you have for me? You're laughing already. So it makes me think that this might be kind of ridiculous.
French Montana. Have you heard about this?
No, I'm lost on this.
So French Montana is being accused of buying streams from Spotify. Or French Montana and his label are being accused of buying streams to sort of amplify the progress of one of his records so that they, show up on more streaming sites and just boost the numbers overall. So somebody on Twitter posted this. His name is Carl LeMang on Twitter, and 50 Cent is also involved. We'll get to that in a little bit. I'm
curious as to how he got caught. This intrigues me.
So it's a whole thread. French Montana's out here buying streams in a desperate attempt to turn his 3-month-old song into a flop. The song was released in September 2019. It wasn't very successful. The song is called "Writing on the Wall" with Post Malone, Cardi B, and I forget who the other person is, but. It wasn't very successful. It charted for 5 weeks. It left the top 200 on Spotify. Then it re-entered 3 weeks later and even reached a new peak on Spotify. And here's where it gets weird. Apparently, the reason why it's charting again is because it's currently popular on TikTok. Then why is it only rising on Spotify? Because on Spotify, it went up to 21. It went up 27 spots. And on Apple Music, it's 1,192nd. Which means that people are sort of uncovering that this is being bought through Spotify. So we searched on Twitter, this person, Carl, to see if anybody was actually listening to the song since it was popular on TikTok. So he searched on Twitter to see if it was popular on Twitter. And he found some interesting tweets of people saying that their Spotify was hacked and it was playing that French Montana record when they discovered that it was hacked. So if you look carefully at the dates, most of the tweets were sent. They were basically between the 18th and the 25th of December, ending on Christmas, and Writing on the Wall re-entered on December 22nd on these charts. So you kind of see more and more where this is going, and that's going on. And 50 Cent sort of jumped in. French Montana was buying votes, and then apparently French Montana, according to 50 Cent, defended R. Kelly recently. So now they're going back and forth and beefing with one another. And 50 Cent on Instagram, he's going to go the extra mile for our entertainment. So I'm here for that part of it.
So what we've learned in this podcast, and this one time for your mind segment, y'all out here juking the stats.
But here's the thing. There's my problem. People care so much about numbers. We've talked about people buying Twitter followers on this podcast before. We've talked about reporters buying it to amplify it and get blue check marks and do all this stuff, right? Why are we so numbers based when it comes to things? Just let stuff grow organically. If it doesn't work, it doesn't work. Just keep trying to build it organically.
Yeah, I think
people are just rushing because they have no patience and don't want to see things through, and they just want to be famous without being good at what they do.
Well, here's the thing,
and French Montana,
he is famous though.
I'm not saying he's bad. I don't even know if this is him. It's probably his label, right?
I doubt this goes by him without him knowing. But
French Montana also not one of the greatest rappers in the world.
No, but he's had some hits.
I don't care about hits. People can have hits.
I don't, but what I'm saying is that fuels into the people wanting more. So once you've had a taste of said success, this is why you're doing more. And so are the people behind French Montana or his label, are they really any different than the 11-year-old Bryans out there voting for Taco Fall and Alex Caruso?
Yes, they're very different because I wasn't clout chasing because there was no such thing.
You guys are all juking the stats.
No, but that's a totally different. That's totally
you guys
different.
Are juking the stats.
They're literally clout chasing is different. So 50 Cent posted on Instagram. He posted this photo. You should post this. This is from hiphoplately.com. It's of French Montana. It says French Montana got caught massively faking streams. 50 Cent put on his caption, "Boy, you better start explaining right now. Power's back in 2 days." Hashtag stars get the app.
First of all, 50 doing anything to promote as he does.
He's great.
Look.
In the midst of a Bugatti, this is another meme. In the midst of a Bugatti-fueled feud against 50 Cent, French Montana may have some explaining. And then 50 Cent put the eyeball emojis. And he said, "Look at the bright side. You can always go back to selling DVDs or start a podcast or something."
Look.
And then he found another headline. This is all in one day. I love 50, yo. He said, French Montana defends R. Kelly, saying, quote, let somebody enjoy their legacy. 50 Cent quoted that and posted it on Instagram. What legacy, fool? You out of here, junkie. Power back in 2 days. Listen, when I get to a certain level, I'm going to be like that.
You aren't already?
No, but I'm saying like
with the clapbacks.
Yeah, flaming people out, and then Side Hustle returns in 1 week.
Here's the thing. Hey,
you know what? I might do that in 2020.
Maybe
I might just do that. I might do that if I bring Side Hustle back this year.
Here's the thing. People been chased. This doesn't shock me. I guess it's weird. It doesn't. It shocks me that people think they can't get caught. That shocks me more, right?
Yeah.
It doesn't shock
like Russia
me,
in the election.
Right. It doesn't shock me that French Montana or his label or whoever did this can get caught. Here's what I don't understand with that. If you're going to go and juke the stats, you got to juke the stats all the way, right? So if you're going to do it for Spotify.
Oh, no. I disagree. Because when you cheat on tests back in the day when you're in school, you don't get all 10 of the right answers. You know, when there's a B, all right, you got to put a C so it doesn't look like.
Yeah, but here's the thing.
You know?
But you can't go, this is not like one test. You're dealing with two different platforms here. You can't push the numbers up on Spotify and don't do nothing on Apple Music and expect people to not see the difference, right?
I agree.
Like to your point, even if you went all the way in on Spotify, you got to at least go 50% on Apple Music.
Agree.
So people might be like, oh, well, there was an increase here too. You guys went
top 20 here, top 50 here, top 75 here, so that doesn't look weird.
Like y'all gonna juke the stats and play the game, and y'all not gonna try to balance it out.
Yeah.
Like shame on y'all thinking for nobody's not gonna notice.
Yeah,
So
we're telling you how to cheat on the Ain't Hard to Tell
pretty
podcast.
much telling
Rest
you
in
how
peace,
to
Eddie
cheat.
Guerrero.
But I think I think that's what makes it funny, and that's why 50 Cent is able to clown, because he's like, how are y'all not gonna really go all the way with this?
Yeah.
You know, a friend of mine always says when you're in the lie, you gotta go in all the way.
Yeah.
You gotta go in all
Die
the way.
with the lie.
You know what I mean? And like I understand French Montana's gotta deny it, and he's not gonna come out and be like he juked the stats because nobody wants to do that.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, man, y'all out here juking the stats.
Yeah.
And you know what's funny? People still ain't feeling the song.
Yeah, well, people were mad that their Spotify was hacked and it was playing this record. They're like, I don't want to hear this.
Yeah. Yeah, and that's the hacking game now, to force people to listen to the song that nobody's feeling.
That's what people are doing now, man.
Damn.
Let me tell you something, too. I've never heard this song once.
Me either.
I haven't heard this song.
You told me about it. Well, that was a good one time for your mind. All right.
I honestly ain't checking for French Montana. Like, that's just, I'm sorry.
Not either.
I'm not.
Even if you're forced to.
Yeah.
So I found this out. I actually came across this story right before we did this podcast. Found out something that I did not know. Obviously, I'm not someone who is on any online dating platform.
Oh, yes. I was hoping one of us brought something spicy like this.
It's not, I don't know if it's spicy as much more. I find it interesting. I did not know there was something called Dating Sunday. Dating Sunday is January 5th.
Wait. This is like a holiday? But like not a holiday.
Yeah. I mean, like kind of, it's like one of like fake holidays, if you want to say that.
So when you're listening to this podcast, this will have already
have occurred.
But we're letting you know to prepare for 2021.
But it's interesting, right? Because it's considered to be online dating's busiest day of the year. So I kind of started thinking more about it when I read this, right? Like what makes it the busiest online dating day of the year? Why would that be? I do find somewhat interesting that it is close to the new year, right? And so it's funny because this article, which was written by Erin Carson, this was from CNET. I found this on CNET because I like to read a lot of technology news from time to time. So January 5th is Dating Sunday, which online platforms like Coffee Meets Bagel, Match, Bumble, and Zeus.
Coffee Meets Bagel?
Yeah, it's a dating platform. Never heard of it?
No.
Oh, yeah. See,
I don't date online.
One time for your mind. It's like
I don't date online, bro.
See, folks. This is the point of this. Bryan and I are educating each other on things that you may not even hear about,
and educating you, the listener,
and listeners as well too.
Yes.
That we just happen to find interesting, right? Random stories. It's the busiest day of the year for folks signing up, matching, and messaging on these platforms. Some numbers for you, because we like numbers and facts.
Yes.
To give you analytics.
Yes.
Match, for example, is predicting an 80% increase in user activity over its average on that day. Bumble is expecting a 30% increase in new users, and Zeus anticipates 1.5 million messages will be sent in the U.S. That's a 17% hike from average. So the question was brought up in the article. what accounts for this surge in activity, right? Why are more people saying, hey, this early in January, this day, let's get it. Now, it's funny because the author, Erin Carson, she brought up some stuff where I was like, oh, no, I could kind of see that. Well, this might not be my experience, might not be your experience. But for some people, I do know, around the holidays, you get with your family. And if you're single, so I've had this time happen when I'm younger, you're out with the family.
And they ask
like,
you?
Yo, you got girlfriend, boyfriend, partner, whatever.
Mind your business.
I mean, you should say that, but you're not saying that to your auntie.
Shit.
I'm not going to say that.
I'll say that to whoever.
I'd like to.
I'll say that to whoever.
Who you dating? For a lot of women, when you going to get a man? When you going to have some kids? That's what's happening too.
Kimberly Martin, shout out.
We talked about that. So what I do think it's fair to consider that there may be some people who, because of that. Now, I don't think it'll be you or be me, because you're the kind of person that'll be like, mind your business. If you're going to say mind your business, you're probably the kind of person that doesn't feel like they're going to feel the shame of it. But maybe some people are shamed. Mm-hmm. Maybe some people sit there and say, you know what? I got to get back into the game. And I got to get back in this game. And so it's tied in. Seriously, it's tied in with New Year's resolutions, right?
Yeah.
And people are like, yo, New Year, I'm going to get back in the game. I'm going to do this, I'm going to do that, blah, blah, blah. That's funny. I was just talking to a friend who just recently, she got back into the dating game on some dating apps or whatever. We were talking about that experience, which I found.
God bless.
Very interesting. No, it's so far so good for her. It's been kind of interesting. But this article then goes to make tips to people about what they should do, and that, what they should maybe do on doing that. But I also found that Bumble expects 3 million new users to join between Thanksgiving Day, so that's going back to Thanksgiving Day 2019, and Dating Sunday, January 5th. And they say that's when you see a lot of that group. Now, it's funny because in this wintertime, we know a lot of the wintertime is known as cuffing season, right? The time where people are settling down, it gets cold outside, especially here in the Northeast, and people are cozying up with somebody. But these numbers
it's the time of the year where people who try to kick it to you all of a sudden pop up 1 week later with a significant other. And you're like,
that is true. However, maybe a lot of them people find those people on the dating apps, because it tells you that if all these people are signing up between that time what we necessarily call cuffing season, maybe people aren't actually as cuffed as we think, right? Like, that's what the number said to me. Cuffing season might be more of just trying to find somebody dating season. And everybody out there is just trying to find somebody dating because they ain't really cuffed.
Yeah. I mean, well, cuffed, you're not married. But, I know what you're saying.
I mean, cuffing is a loose thing around it. I don't necessarily like the name of that.
I mean, the IRS would say you're single till you're married. So
yeah. Anyway, I found it fascinating that, one, did not know there was a dating Sunday. Two, there's real number behind this. There's real data behind this where people are really signing up like crazy and actually messaging more than ever, and
are probably shamed into doing so because they want to bring somebody to the family dinner. That's essentially what it is, or have somebody to talk about.
So you're saying they're trying to plan to get this stuff straight before the next holiday season?
Perhaps, yeah,
maybe, maybe
or look, maybe they're just trying Maybe they just want somebody to bring so they could avoid some questions. Like, yo, could you just be my boyfriend for the day? And then whatever. Could you be my girlfriend for the day? And then just
the problem with that is if you bring the wrong person that don't work out, then you still gonna have to answer questions the next time anyway.
Hey, I'm not making the decisions for them. I'm just trying to get through their head.
Like, I'll tell you what. I'm gonna try to talk to some single friends I know and ask them if they're gonna be swiping a lot on Sunday. Maybe people are on that Sunday. Maybe they will be. I'll try to come back with a report. Let's see what we have. All right, that was it for the first edition.
Imagine doing a stand-up about that. Jesus Christ.
I'm surprised
that it hasn't happened.
Not anything around dating apps during my news reporting days. I'm surprised. Or that wasn't when I was at News 12, we used to do a segment.
You could do one during the summer.
Word on the street. Are people more active on dating apps in the summer? Okay.
Wow. AccuWeather.
Why you said that? I don't want to do that story. All right, well, that's it. That's it for One Time for Your Mind. Hey, if you have any stories you think is interesting or we should talk about, we can see. You could tweet them at us.
Oh, for sure. Yeah. We're gonna make this also inclusive too. So if you, the viewer, the listener, have anything to send us, you can do that as well. You can email us, ahtttpodcast@gmail.com, or you can slide in our DMs on Twitter or Instagram at AHTT Podcast.
Yep, let us know. Let us know what you think about that. Let us know what you think about people acting like 11-year-old Bryan. Let us know what you think about French Montana juking the stats, and what you also think about people being super active on one day outside of the other after the holidays as they try to get a new boo for the new year. All right, that's it for this episode of the Ain't Hard to Tell podcast, episode 105. Thanks to our man Mike holding it down, producing this episode. Also want to thank you, the listeners. Also, please be sure to check out some of the extra content we'll have on Patreon. We are going to do a better job as we continue this year about putting out something once a week for our Patreon subscribers. A little bit of extra content, some things we talk about, sometimes some behind-the-scenes stuff that you guys might not get to see for this podcast.
Right.
With, me chastising 11-year-old Bryan and other things of that nature. But we will have more of that. Also check out our promotions, our partnerships.
Just got word that a pretty
Audible.
good guest is going to come through January 18th. So
right.
you guys are going to want to be in tune for that.
Nice. Okay, good. I just spoke with that person the other day. All right, well, that is it, again, for Ain't Hard to Tell Podcast, episode 105, the first one of 2020. For Bryan Fonseca, Dexter Henry. Until next time, y'all. Peace.